Sign the house away or nursing home, my son said, like he was reading a menu. I smiled. Okay, I answered, and I rested my hand on the trust binder because there's one clause in there he never read. It's 12:18 a.m. in Milwaukee, and I'm 79. My husband, Tom, has been gone 2 winters, and the quiet in this living room is so complete I can hear the furnace click like it's keeping score. My hands stiffen in the cold, but my mind doesn't. I'm speaking to you the way I talk to myself at night, calm, exact, and finished with guessing. Jason showed up yesterday, Sunday, the 14th of September 2025, at 6:42 p.m. Kendra stood behind him, and my grandkids hovered in the doorway like they'd been coached to look worried. Jason didn't ask if I'd eaten. He pointed at my paid-off bungalow and said he had a solution. Either I signed a quitclaim deed for simplicity, or they'd start the nursing home process. He set a folder on my coffee table. Inside, a pre-filled deed, a glossy pamphlet about placement, and a sticky note that said, "Call your doctor." I didn't argue. I lifted the deed and noticed the notary block was already stamped, dated 2 days earlier. Quick question, what city are you listening from tonight? I smiled again, because coercion is the only thing my trust punishes automatically. At 6:59 p.m., my porch camera pinged twice motion alert. By Monday morning, the 15th of September 2025, I wasn't guessing anymore. I was counting. At 8:11 a.m., I went to my credit union and asked for an activity summary, 12 months. Every transfer, every inquiry. The teller didn't ask why. She printed, stamped, and watched me read. The evidence was ugly. 3 instant transfers to Jason, $4,000 in May, $5,500 in July, $3,200 in August, each memoed, repairs, total. I'd helped because I pictured school shoes, not lawyers. What was new was a title search fee on September 12, $29.95, like someone was practicing the first cut. Then the teller slid a second page toward me. There was also an inquiry, she said. Home equity, Friday at 2:03 p.m. I hadn't applied. I hadn't called. I hadn't even left my house Friday. I asked for the inquiry record, the phone number used, the email on file, the exact timestamp. She circled the number in pen. It wasn't Jason's cell. It was Kendra's office line, the one printed on the kid's emergency contact card. Mini twist. The email tied to the inquiry wasn't mine. It was a fresh address built from my name. I took a photo of the stamped record, emailed it to myself, and did the next cold thing. I called my attorney, not my son. At 10:07 a.m., my phone lit up. New device login bank alert. The new device didn't steal money. It stole the last excuse I had left. At 10:12 a.m., Jason texted, and the wording was too polished to be his. I screenshotted evidence, time-stamped, saved twice. He wrote, "We can do this the easy way. Sign the house away or we start nursing home paperwork." I answered with one word, okay. Not agreement, a marker. At 3:30 p.m., I sat across from Denise Carter, my attorney, in an office above a bakery that smells like cinnamon and receipts. I slid the stamped inquiry record across her desk, then the deed with the pre-stamped notary block. Denise didn't gasp. She built a timeline. "Have they mentioned guardianship?" she asked. I told her about the sticky note. "Call your doctor." Denise opened my trust binder and flipped to a section Tom insisted on after watching his brother corner their mother. The clause is plain. Any beneficiary who pressures me to transfer my residence or files for guardianship without medical cause forfeits their share. Mini twist. The deed Jason brought wasn't even record-ready, no legal description, just blanks and bold prompts. It wasn't paperwork, it was a scarecrow. At 5:48 p.m., Denise sent one short email to Jason's attorney contact. All communication through counsel. I went home, made tea, and waited for the next move. At 6:05 p.m., my phone auto-transcribed guardianship from Jason new voicemail. On Tuesday, the 16th of September 2025, I stopped playing defense and started sealing doors. At 8:02 a.m., I sat in a plain conference room with Denise and an independent trustee, a gray-haired professional who spoke like a clock. I signed a narrow trust amendment and updated my medical directive. Nothing dramatic, just precise. The house stays in trust. No one gets leverage through help, and any guardianship filing without medical cause triggers review and forfeiture. Evidence. Denise made certified copies and added a memo documenting the coercion attempt, attaching Jason's text and the credit union's stamped inquiry record. She also noted the pre-stamped notary block date and the missing legal description, two problems that only exist in a scare tactic. Mini twist. Denise pointed out something I'd missed. Jason's folder from my porch included a care placement checklist with my name misspelled and my birthday wrong. If you're truly worried about your mother, you don't get her birthday wrong. At 12:44 p.m., Denise forwarded a subject line from a local law office. Guardianship consult Hayes. Not mine, Jason's. By late afternoon, my phone rang twice and stopped. No voicemail, just pressure. So I did the quiet thing Tom always did. I organized proof. I put the deed photo, the texts, the inquiry sheet, and the clinic appointment note into one envelope and wrote the date across the flap. At 2:16 p.m., my mailbox snapped shut on a certified envelope thunk. Wednesday didn't come with apologies. It came with a demand and an audience. At 9:07 a.m., a printed screenshot appeared in my mail slot, access removed from the bank portal. My name circled in red marker, evidence delivered like a threat. They wanted me rattled before I spoke to anyone official. At 11:30 a.m., Jason cornered me at the community center where I shelved donated books. He walked in smiling like we were family, then leaned close enough for me to smell his coffee. "You changed things," he said. "Fix it. Today." I kept my hands on the cart. "I updated my paperwork," I said. "That's all." Kendra stepped beside him, voice soft. "We're worried," she said. "You're isolating. That's a sign." Escalation. Jason unfolded a calendar printout and tapped it with one finger. "We booked you an evaluation," he said. "Friday. If you don't show, it looks bad. Booked. In my name. Without my consent." Mini twist. The receptionist, overhearing, printed a brief note on letterhead. "Caller requested competency evaluation. Patient did not consent." She slid it to me like she was passing a match in wind. Jason's smile tightened. "You're choosing paper over family." "No," I said. "I'm choosing reality over threats." He left fast. Kendra stayed long enough to whisper, "We'll make this official." At 5:22 p.m., tires crushed gravel, then a fist hit wood knock. Thursday morning, Jason switched from anger to concern, the kind that leaves fingerprints. At 9:03 a.m., he emailed Denise and copied me. "We're worried Mom is being influenced. She's forgetful. We may need a capacity hearing." Evidence, the email header, the timestamp, and that new phrase Jason had never used in his life. At 10:40 a.m., I did the opposite of what they wanted. I went to my clinic and asked for a voluntary cognitive screen, documented in my chart. Dr. Ruiz spoke to me like an adult, not a headline. I brought my medication list and my calendar. Date, medications, recent events. I told him the truth. My son was trying to trade my house for control. Mini twist. Before I stood up, the nurse stepped in with a message slip. "Jason Hayes called yesterday," she said, "asking what forms you'd need for guardianship." Yesterday, Before any concern email, Dr. Ruiz printed a brief statement. I was oriented, capable, and making my own decisions. He also noted, in neutral language, that family coercion can look like confusion when selectively reported. That afternoon, I met Denise with the letter still warm from the printer. We added it to the file, behind the stamped bank inquiry and the pre-stamped deed photo. Denise didn't smile. She just said, "Now their story has holes." At 7:11 p.m., my patient portal flashed. Records requested notification. Saturday, September 20, they brought my grandkids like a bargaining chip. At 4:17 p.m., Ava and Noah stood on my porch with Kendra behind them. Ava held an envelope labeled in her careful pencil, "For Grandma." Evidence isn't just what's inside, it's who's made to carry it. The note said, "Grandma, if you love us, you'll sign so we can keep coming." Below it, in different handwriting, was a phone number and the words, "Call to be reasonable." I knelt and asked Ava who wrote it. She glanced at Kendra first, then whispered, "Mom told me." Mini twist. The fold was too neat and the wording too adult, like it came from a template, not a child. I didn't argue on my porch. I told the kids I loved them and that grown-up problems stay with grown-ups. Then I handed Kendra a boundary letter Denise prepared. Future visits happen at my sister's home, Sundays at 2 p.m., and any talk of deeds, banks, or placement ends the visit immediately. Kendra tried to turn it public. "She's unstable," she said, loud enough for the street. Perfect. My neighbor, Mrs. Lang, was outside and heard every word. She agreed to write a statement about the kids being used for pressure. Jason finally appeared at the curb and didn't look at the kids. He looked into my hallway, measuring. At 6:02 p.m., Mrs. Lang texted me Kendra's note photo attached. Monday, September 22, Jason stopped hinting and started filing. At 8:34 a.m., Denise called and said, "Do not panic. Read this slowly. Evidence, the PDF." She forwarded an emergency guardianship petition draft with Jason listed as proposed guardian and Kendra as supporting party. The petition claimed I was financially exploited, that I forgot appointments, and that I refused necessary care. The language was generic, like it came from a kit. Mini twist. In a footnote, they labeled Denise as the unknown influencer. That was their plan. Erase the professional, replace her with family, then call it protection. Escalation. Denise pulled every anchor we had. My clinic letter, Mrs. Lang's statement, Jason's exact text, the pre-stamped deed photo, and the credit union sheet with Kendra's office line circled in ink. She also obtained a short note confirming I changed account access in person. Then Denise found the first crack in their numbers. Jason's draft listed a monthly support amount he supposedly paid me. It didn't match any deposit I've received in years. And one more thing surfaced quiet, paper-thin, decisive. A collection notice accidentally attached to their exhibits, addressed to Jason, marked Final Demand, dated September 9. The motive wasn't love. It was panic with interest. Denise warned me they might serve me fast before we could respond. At 2:47 p.m., a process server handed me the stamped petition service. The hearing was Thursday, the 25th of September 2025, at 8:45 a.m. I wore a plain navy coat and brought no speeches, only paper. Jason arrived early with a new attorney and the same rehearsed face. Kendra sat behind him with a folder like a shield. I could see the kid's school photo peeking out of it, like a reminder I didn't ask for. Evidence went first. Denise handed the judge my clinic letter, the stamped bank inquiry record, and Mrs. Lang's statement. Then she placed the trust excerpt on top, the clause Tom wrote in boring, airtight sentences about coercion and baseless guardianship filings. Jason's attorney tried to soften it. "He's concerned," she said. She's being influenced. Mini twist. The judge didn't ask about my age. She asked about a phone number. Why did this office line request a home equity inquiry? She held up the credit union sheet with Kendra's number circled. Jason blinked, then looked at Kendra, just once. Denise followed with the deed photo showing the pre-stamped notary block date and the missing legal description. Then she slid forward the exhibit they'd accidentally attached. The collection notice, addressed to Jason, marked Final Demand, dated September 9. The motive didn't need drama. It needed math. Overdue rent, a defaulted loan, and a house they thought could be collateral by dinner. The judge read in silence long enough for the room to feel smaller. At 9:02 a.m., the judge raised her gavel and said, "Wait." The ruling didn't come with fireworks. It came with a stamp. On Friday, the 26th of September 2025, at 3:18 p.m., an envelope from the clerk arrived plain, official, heavy. Evidence is the line printed in black. Petition denied. And below it, no contact except through counsel. Denise called it a clean ending. I called it breathing room. Jason tried once more with apology-shaped words. At 6:02 p.m., he left a voicemail. "Mom, I overreacted. Let's talk." I saved it, not to punish him, but because I learned the difference between remorse and strategy. 2 weeks later, Denise sent a letter confirming what the missed clause did. Jason's guardianship attempt triggered forfeiture under the trust. He didn't lose his children, he lost his leverage. I didn't burn the bridge with my grandkids. I built a railing. I created an education fund for Ava and Noah inside the trust, managed by the independent trustee, released only for school expenses. Jason and Kendra can't touch it, but the kids won't pay for their parents' choices. On Sunday at 2, I saw Ava and Noah at my sister's table. We ate cinnamon rolls. No folders, no threats, just small hands and loud laughter. Fear is a tool. Don't hand it your signature. What would you protect? First your peace, or their story about you. From Milwaukee, I turned the deadbolt and let the lock click once.